This project begins with identifying something important that you want learners to be able to do after an effective learning experience. So for the sake of this example, I'm going to go to the Virginia Department of Education. I'm at the Standards of Learning, and I still have a soft spot in my heart for science, so I'm going to go to third grade science. And here you see a number of different outcomes associated with various topics in third grade, and I've decided that I'm going to focus on force, motion, and energy. So this is the SOL that I'm going to be addressing. So this statement, the students will investigate and understand that the direction and size of force affects the motion of an object. That is not very clearly measurable. I don't know what it means to investigate. Actually, I do know, and it's more of an activity than it is a learning objective, an outcome. Understand is kind of an outcome, but there are many ways to measure understanding, and that's just not clear. So for the sake of this project, I'm just going to simplify this real quick and say that students will explain the following characteristics of force, motion, and energy. Okay, and then I list out those four. So this is the outcome that I am going to use with some sample artificial intelligence or AI tools to help me generate 5 different learning assessment items for my statement here. So I'm going to copy that, and then I'm going to go to my tools and see what I come up with. So here I am at magicschool.ai, and again, this is the site that includes a lot of AI tools for teachers. And I'm logged in, and I am going to go to the tool, the multiple choice quiz/assessment tool. So I'm going to click on that, load it up. Okay, so I'm going to fill out this form. I'm going to pick my grade level, which happens to be third grade. I want 5 questions. That's good. This is a multiple choice generator, and that's what I want you to do for this project. So I'm okay with that. And then it asks you to identify the topic standard text or description, and I am going to just paste what I copied from my document. And there you have it. I'm okay with not aligning this to the specific standard. I'm just interested for this project in how this tool develops 5 multiple choice items that might measure effectively my outcome there. So I have everything I need. I'm now going to click on the generate button, and here we have 5 multiple choice items along with an answer key. Let's just take a look at the first one. When you push and pull a box at the same time in opposite directions, what determines how the box will move? And then it has different choices. Only the pushing force matters, the strongest force wins, the net force, combined effects of all forces, or the box will always stay still. Now, I'm not an expert on third grade, but I can tell you right now that an 8-year-old understanding this statement, the net force, and that is the combined effects of all forces, is going to be a bit of a challenge, I believe, for a typical third grader. I come down, which simple machine helps you lift heavy objects with less force? So here you have to have a good understanding of how simple machines operate and what they are. What happens when multiple forces act on an object in the same direction, which is an example of a compound machine. And then how do simple machines make work easier? Let me think about that one for a second. How do simple machines make work easier? Let me go back to my standard for just a second there, okay? Here I am in force, motion, and energy. I'm going to go to the simple machine ones. simple machines increase or change the direction of a force, and simple and compound machines have many applications. I will tell you right now that from where I sit, this item doesn't measure any of those directly at all. So there's other things that I would need to do to evaluate how well these items are actually written based on the rules that we have for good assessment item development. But I will tell you right now, generally speaking, I would suggest that these items do not measure the intention of the outcome. Now, I could fix that possibly by editing the outcome and making it a little more specific to the actual content and ideas and concepts that are being measured. But for this project, you don't have to go into that much detail. I am just going to suggest that my Magic School AI 5 multiple choice item assessment gets pretty low marks for creating items that measure what they're supposed to measure at the grade level that it is supposed to be designed for. So I don't like that one. Let's go try a different AI tool. Okay, so let's try Google's Gemini AI used in conjunction with one of the Google Docs called Forms. And we'll see how well they do with creating some multiple choice items to measure that science-related SOL. So I'm here at the Google Drive site, just drive.google.com. This is my site. I'm logged in. I'm going to go to New, and I'm going to go to Google Forms. So you'll notice that Google Forms now opens up a dialog about using Gemini to help you create something. So I am going to go down to the dialog box, and I'm going to say create 5 multiple choice items for 3rd grade students that measures the following. I'll say outcome, and then I'll paste it, what I had. This is the same outcome that I used for the other one. So there we are. I just clicked go, and here we are. So rather than click try again, let's take a look at what we have right now. Force, motion, and energy quiz for 3rd graders. Okay. Notice I like this. It gives you some actual directions. Which of these is true when you push a toy car across the floor? And it gives you some choices. If you push a box with the same strength as your friend pushes it in the opposite direction, what will most likely happen to the box? So I'm looking at these, and I already like these better than the ones that I was created using the Magic AI. And this does create an actual form for me. So I'll just show you that. I'm going to create the form. So here it is. This is a Google Doc form. And let's see what kind of feedback it gives us. Which of these is true when you push a toy car across the floor? Gravity and friction certainly act on that. Oh, I guess I haven't published this yet, so I can't take it. That's okay. So, again, I would need to evaluate these items based on the rules for good item development, but so far I kind of like this one. Again, I haven't aligned it specifically with the outcomes yet, but I can already tell you, just in terms of the language and the application items, that they seem pretty good. Although I did ask for the outcome asked to explain these different characteristics rather than apply them to real-world situations. But as a teacher, I might actually alter that outcome a little bit in order to make it more clear. Again, like I might have done previously. Okay, so that's Gemini from Google. Not bad. Let's look at one more option, and let's go to our classic ChatGPT. Okay, so here I am at ChatGPT, and I am going to write my prompt, which in this case I will say please, because I always talk to it like it's a real person and not some kind of a servant of mine. So please write 5 multiple choice items for 3rd grade students that measure the following. I'll skip with my language to say following outcome, and I'll paste that outcome there, and there it is. It's pasted there, and it also does a little separate document paste. That's just how ChatGPT works. Okay, so let's run that and see what they come up with. Here are 5 3rd grade appropriate multiple choice questions that measure the outcome you shared. Each one targets one or more of the listed concepts. Okay. Maria pushes a toy car forward and her friend pushes it backward at the same time. What is happening to the car? Okay. I'm looking at this one and I'm thinking, wow, this is actually kind of a complicated question because it doesn't address the movement of the car. It addresses just the forces involved. 2 forces are acting in opposite directions. That's the correct answer. Let's try the next one, net force. A ball is sitting still on the ground. What will make it start moving? Wow, a force greater than any other force on it. Oh boy. Well, look at the other options. So thinking about it, the ball wanting to move, or painting it a new color. Okay, obviously anybody, probably of any age, would be able to identify the correct answer. Actually, from multiple choice development rules, the fact that the correct answer is significantly longer than the other 3 is already a red flag, and that's included in our notes about what makes for valid multiple choice items. I can look at the next one without reading it, and I can also tell that the longer answer is identified as the correct one. Why do people use a ramp to move a heavy box into a truck? Boy, okay. I'm already looking at these thinking that their alignment with the outcomes might be a little bit sort of tenuous and unclear. So again, I would have to review all of these. I think I might want to get a little more specific. And as a matter of fact, let me just give you an example of a way where AI might actually do us a better job. I am going to say, I'm going to write a very specific objective for 3rd graders from just one of those outcomes. So I'm going to say, write a multiple choice item for 3rd grade students that measures the following outcome. I'll just say students will identify an example of, and then let me go and grab one of the items. Well, I'll scroll back up here to the original. Multiple forces acting on objects, simple and compound machines. Okay, I like that 3rd one. Write a multiple choice item for 3rd grade students that measures the following outcome. Students will identify an example of a simple machine increasing or changing the direction of a force. Okay, there we go. Now I've gotten really specific. I know that I want them to identify an example of this. So let's see what it comes up with. Here's a 3rd grade friendly multiple choice item that measures that outcome. Which of these shows a simple machine changing the direction of a force? Okay. And there's 4 items. I look at this, again, I still think this is complicated for 3rd graders, but I look at the correct answer using a pulley to lift a bucket straight up. That's a really interesting and very good example of that. The others look like, if you think about them, pushing a box across the floor, that's suspect. But again, so one of the rules you try to follow when you write good multiple choice items is not to have the correct answer significantly longer than most of the others. And you might guess that usually the reason why the correct answer or the best answer is the longest is because it takes that long to be precise about an answer that could be correct. So it's a cue. I'm not so sure third graders would get it. And again, I don't teach third grade, so I'm not 100% sure how well these align with third grade thinking and vocabulary, but that's an example of what you might need to do for a project like this to use AI to help you generate some good items. But I am going to ask you in this project just to create your objectives, use different options, identify the strengths and weaknesses of all the options, and then suggest what you might do to get better results if you don't like what you got. So that's the purpose of this particular project. And I hope you enjoyed it. It's an excellent example of how AI can be used to help teachers, possibly.